I never expected to feel alive again at 47. Not until I saw him. He used to be just a boy, my ex's nephew, quiet, sweet, forgettable. But when he walked back into my life, all grown up and looking at me like I was the only woman in the world, something inside me cracked open. He was 28 now, too young, too bold, and somehow the only man who saw through the walls I'd spent years building. Everyone would say it's wrong, that I'm too old for him. But when he touched me, I didn't feel old. I felt wanted. I felt seen. I felt like me again. This isn't a story about age. It's about a love I never saw coming, and the boy who grew into the man who made me feel like a woman again. Voiceover begins gentle, nostalgic tone. I was 47 when I saw him again. I hadn't planned it. I hadn't even thought of him in years. He was just a boy when I last saw him. 14, maybe 15. And I was 27. I was dating his uncle at the time. That man's gone now. Left, drifted, faded into some vague corner of my past like so many others. But the boy I'd once known, he didn't fade. He came back, and with him came something I thought I'd buried for good. Something like warmth, something like hope, and something so terrifying I almost ran from it all over again. I was sitting alone in a small corner cafe when I heard my name. Soft at first, then firmer with surprise, Ariel. I looked up, and there he was. Only he wasn't a boy anymore. He was a man, tall, lean, with the kind of quiet presence that doesn't ask for attention. It just receives it. His eyes hadn't changed, though. Still a deep, unsettled green. Still too perceptive for comfort. And when he smiled, it was slow, cautious, like he wasn't sure if I'd remember him. But I did. God, I did. Liam, I breathed, half choking on my coffee. He laughed, and it was the same laugh, the same lopsided grin he used to have when he teased me. But now it echoed deeper, wiser. He was 28 now. Only 1 year older than I'd been when I knew him last. Time has a funny way of folding in on itself. We talked for hours that day, about nothing at first. His work, my writing, life. Then he said something that made my heart pause. I used to have the biggest crush on you, he said, eyes on his coffee. I laughed, trying to brush it off, but he didn't smile. He just looked at me like he was waiting for me to see something I wasn't ready to. You were always different, he said, soft but hidden. I was broken. I said before I could stop myself. He nodded like he already knew, and maybe he did. Maybe that boy had seen more than I realized. I didn't plan to see him again, but I did. He called a few days later, asking if I wanted to walk. I said yes, though I told myself it didn't mean anything. It was just a walk, just catching up, but it didn't feel that way. Not when our hands brushed, not when he looked at me like I wasn't invisible, and not when he said, "You still don't see how beautiful you are, do you?" I laughed nervously, turning my face away. "I'm too old for you," I said. And I meant it, but I also didn't. He didn't flinch, didn't argue. He just said quietly, "You're not too old to be loved." That night I lay in bed and cried, because for the first time in years, someone had looked at me. Not as a mother, not as someone to respect or admire from a distance, but as a woman with skin that still remembered touch, with lips that still ached to be kissed, and with a heart that had tried to die quietly, but hadn't. The weeks that followed were blurry. We didn't rush anything. He never pushed, but he kept showing up, with quiet words, with long walks, with the kind of silence that didn't need to be filled. He wasn't like other men. He didn't look through me. He looked at me, and every time he did, it cracked something inside me open just a little more. One night, we sat watching the stars. He turned to me, and for the first time his voice trembled. "I don't know what this is," he said, "but I think I need it." I swallowed hard. I wanted to say it wouldn't work, that I'd be nothing but a burden, that his youth was a fire I couldn't hold. But what I said was, "Me too." He reached out, and his hand found mine, and I let him, because for once I didn't want to be strong. I just wanted to be seen, held, wanted. We didn't tell anyone. How could we? I could already hear their voices. He's too young. She should know better. She's chasing her youth. But they didn't see the nights he stayed up listening to my silence. They didn't see the way he touched me, like I was sacred, not beautiful despite my age, beautiful because of it. They didn't hear him whisper, "I want every version of you," not just the polished parts, not just the pieces that made sense, but all of me, even the tired parts, even the wounded ones. Still, I tried to pull away, told him I needed space, that I had to think. I waited for him to get angry, to walk away, but he didn't. He just nodded, kissed my hand, and said, "Take the time you need. I'm not afraid to wait for you." And I cried again, because that's what I'd always been, waited on, but never waited for. Weeks passed, I kept busy, or tried to, but nothing felt right anymore. Everything was too quiet without him, and I realized something that both terrified and saved me. He hadn't awakened a new woman in me. He'd reminded me of the one I used to be, before life dulled me, before love taught me to disappear. When I called him, he answered on the first ring. "I miss you," I said, and that was enough. He came over that night. No questions, no pressure, just presence, just Liam. He didn't kiss me right away. He just stood there, holding me like something precious. And for the first time, I let him undress me, not just physically, but emotionally. I let him see the stretch marks, the scars, the softness I'd once been ashamed of, and he didn't flinch. He looked at my body like it was art. He touched me like I was the only thing that ever made sense. He kissed me like I was his first breath after drowning. Afterward, we lay in silence, but it wasn't empty. It was full of everything we couldn't say aloud, until he whispered, "You don't have to run anymore." And I believed him, because his arms felt like home, and home doesn't ask for explanations. It just welcomes you back. We never made announcements, never defined anything too tightly, but we kept choosing each other, over and over again. Even when it was hard, even when the world felt too loud, he saw through every mask I tried to wear, and loved me harder when I took them off. Sometimes I still look in the mirror and wonder if I deserve this. If I deserve him, but then I remember the way he looks at me when I'm writing in bed, like I'm sunlight, like I'm magic, like I'm something he never stopped waiting for. People still stare sometimes. We get questions, judgment, curious glances, but we also get quiet nods from women who see me and remember something, that love isn't bound by numbers, that healing doesn't ask for permission, and that sometimes the right love shows up wrapped in the last thing you expect. A younger man with older eyes and the hands of someone who's not trying to fix you, just love you where you are. I don't know what the future holds, but I know this: he made me feel again. He made me believe again, and for the first time in years. I'm not afraid of being seen, because I'm not hiding anymore, not from him, not from myself. I thought I was too old to fall in love again, but maybe I was just finally old enough to recognize the kind of love I deserved, and brave enough to receive it. So, that's how it happened. That's how the boy I barely noticed became the man I'll never forget. He didn't save me. I wasn't broken. But somehow he reminded me of the parts of myself I'd stopped believing were still there. We weren't supposed to fall in love. It wasn't planned. It just happened. Quietly, naturally, like two stars that just knew how to find each other in the dark. People will judge us. They always will. But I've stopped living for their comfort, because what we shared, it was real. It was beautiful, and it was mine. If loving him was wrong, then I don't ever want to be right, wherever life takes him, wherever I go from here. A piece of my heart will always belong to that boy with the steady eyes, who saw me when no one else did. Goodbye for now, but never for good.